Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb, your bonus episode, Conversations with my sister, Ebony. Hey, Ebony.
Guess who's back?
You're back. It's shocking every week.
Every
it really
week.
is.
I mean, I try my best to get here.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it because the last correspondence I got from you today was, yeah, I need a nap. And then it was like 5 minutes before we were supposed to start. And I texted like, so are you on your way? And you're like, just woke up, heading over there. So you were late.
Okay.
You were late.
Okay. First off, I was late on purpose. Clearly, there were some hornets in the way. So I was sensing that. Sorry, wasps. Wasps were in the way. So for my safety, I decided to be late.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not true. You were just late. Yes, there were wasps. Apparently, wasps have taken over all of my spaces that I have in the house, and we have to risk our lives to get here. So you should be very appreciative that we are here today. Thank you. Unbitten, and hopefully we stay that way. So this week we're going to do a little bit of rip from the headlines. There are a couple stories that have been ongoing. One of them is very light, and I wanted to bring it up because I think that a lot of people will understand this situation, and it's from Real Housewives of Atlanta. The other story is about excuse me. That was my real sneeze. Excuse me. The other story is about Michael Oher, who you know as the subject of The Blind Side, a movie that was very much a Disney movie happy ending, but it was loosely based on Michael Oher's life, who went on to have a career in the NFL, and now he is suing the family that's also the subject of The Blind Side. So before we get started on those two topics, you got any news to share? What's going on with you?
Yeah, a lot of nothing. I don't know how I'm so exhausted from doing absolutely nothing. But yeah, just keeping on with just working out, eating clean, sleeping. It's been great. So I'm still taking my me time. But I don't know. I'm an exhausting person apparently.
You're an exhausting person.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Well, I mean, I feel you. I think I mentioned last week that I started the second round of IVF, and so just those medications and stuff make me very tired. But I'm also in a position now that I can start going back to the gym, so that's been nice just to move my body because I think that does give me a little bit more energy. But in the interest of transparency, I did go and meet with my OBGYN this week, who asked me why I was going through another round of IVF because I was able to get 15 embryos out of the first round. And so it's opened up this entire conversation because my plan was always to do 3 rounds of IVF because my age. The IVF doctors, fertility doctors, felt that it was my best interest to do 3 because this was going to be my last chance to get eggs because I'm 42 years old, and they thought that I would get between 1 and 4 embryos out of 3 rounds, and I got 15 embryos the first round, which is kind of a miracle. And so now I'm having this conversation and this thought process between the best interest of the process, like IVF, and the best interest of my body, which ultimately is more important in my opinion. So obviously, listening to the experts at the IVF clinic, they're still on the path of we should do 3 rounds. But listening to my OBGYN, who is for me, is like, why are we doing this if it's not necessary? And then it gets into all these other things about what do you do if you have all of these embryos and you have no plan to have, in this case, 15 children, if all of them were genetically and chromosomally viable.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So apparently, I do have a embryo fan club. Thank you for that, for anyone who has expressed interest in taking some of my embryos.
Huh.
Hey, I feel very
People have
honored.
reached out to take your Instagram.
Well, some people have expressed interest. Yes. Yes, they've
I
expressed
mean, we do
interest.
got those good genes.
I
We kind
you
of
know
baddies. We
honestly, out
kind
of
of baddies.
every compliment I've ever received in my life, I was like, this is really up there.
I mean, we baddies though. I can see it. I can see it. Got the good genes. Now I got you.
Anywho, moving on. So yes, it's something to think about. A lot of you have reached out to me who, either you've gone through fertility issues, you're going through IVF, you are a geriatric, want to be or soon to be mom like myself. And so continue to reach out. I try to respond to everyone as fast as I can. But I know how important it is to have a community right now, and I am happy to have all of y'all in an accountability village and community with me. So thank you for reaching out. And let's get to our first subject.
Let's go.
So here's the deal. A lot of you over the past month have seen and shared this video. It is of 15 people at a restaurant, and they are there celebrating one person's birthday. And apparently, they decided, the person who was celebrating her birthday and her close friends decided that despite what everyone ordered, everyone needed to divvy up the check, sans the birthday girl, evenly. And so you see some of the people who are saying they basically had a salad and water, but people went all out with bottles and very expensive cuisine, all the stuff with the expectation that it's going to be divvied evenly. So this was a major debate on social media, and we talked about it on our show on Daily Blast Live. Well, here's a new updated version. On Real Housewives of Atlanta, housewife Sheree Whitfield is dating a guy who is on a show on OWN called Love and Marriage Huntsville. His name is Martell Holt, and Martell is known for being kind of a womanizer, but now him and Sheree are together. And apparently, Sheree had a birthday dinner, and Martell paid the bill. The bill was $1,500 for her and her friends. He paid and then proceeded to hit up all of her friends who were there and ask for a Cash App after. So I wanted to open this up about what is the expectation when you, as an adult, are celebrating your birthday with friends and loved ones. What is the expectation in situations like this?
Ooh, that is a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I believe you taught me this. Don't go to dinner unless you can afford to cover it all.
Yes.
Don't put yourself in those situations. So if you've ever heard me back out of something, it's like, my checking this in.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't working like that. Personally, this has started happening recently, especially since I don't order drinks anymore. So I've learned that and I'm eating a different diet, so I try to just go for the social part of it and
Yeah.
not for the actual I don't really want to eat, so I'm gonna get something just to have in front of me. But there's been that overall she didn't even eat, don't worry, don't worry about it, don't put anything in. And I'll be like, hey, let me cash app you a couple dollars real fast anyway. But I feel like that's your group. You should know who you're going out with.
Mm-hmm.
It's you should really know. I've gone out where I've gone out for someone's birthday, and everyone does a check grab. One person's like, no, I'm covering it, da da da. But you still are like, hey, I have some cash. Let me side it to you real fast. Or you still do some type of Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, something to be like, hey, I appreciate you covering that. Let me just put a little bit of something on that in your pocket. I think there still needs to be that attempt. I don't believe in a free meal. Unless you really earned it. So tonight, I think I should get a free meal. But but I don't believe in a free meal. You should always pay back, because I feel if I'm inviting someone out and there's a whole group of people, I'm still expecting to pay for it. It's just a compliment that people respect me enough to give me that money later.
Okay.
So that's how I see it. But yeah, don't go out if you can't afford it. That's how I go into everything.
Yeah, I feel like I've been on so many sides of this, especially coming from Chicago, and I came of age in the in the service industry. So restaurants, bars, nightclubs, and I think that because of that and the way that we were raised, like mom always instilled, like, do not go anywhere and not have enough money to not only cover your food, but also to get home. It was a safety thing. Also, you don't want people feeling like they're entitled to something based on the fact that they just paid for your meal. Like, it's not that type of party, right? So I do have expectations when I go out. Like, if I'm inviting people out and I'm like, hey, let's go out to this dinner. Granted, I'm 42. I'm in a very different situation than I was when I was like maybe 24. But my expectation of inviting people, especially to a nice restaurant, is one, you can almost tell because I'm not like inviting randos. Like, generally at this point, everybody at the table knows each other. And the expectation is that I am going to pay. Otherwise, I wouldn't be inviting you out to this particular restaurant if I didn't have the intention of paying for it. Now, if we were going to like, a fast food restaurant or something that's like, a little bit more like, cost effective, then I can see it being like, okay, well, where are we going to go? Oh, let's go to this restaurant. And I can see like there not being an expectation that someone necessarily needs to cover it. But when you're inviting people to places that aren't considered pedestrian type places, in the first example of the people that wanted to split the bill, they were clearly at a very, very nice restaurant. And some of those people were not prepared to cover the cost of eating at that restaurant. In the case of Sheree on Real Housewives of Atlanta, if your man invites me out to celebrate you on your birthday and you're going to Nobu, then I would gladly pitch in, but I would be kind of looking at you and your man very sideways as to why this wasn't a dinner for two, you and your boo. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You, at that point, you are so grown. Like, Sheree is in her 50s, he is in his 40s, and you're going to invite, and $1,500, and this is the difference. The first example, these people clearly are not going out to eat like this and spending this type of money all the time. But the second example on Real Housewives of Atlanta, these are like former Olympians, people who have like brands, they have like they have money, okay? The check at Nobu was only $1,500, okay? That is not bad. That means that there was no one there who was like, hey, I'm gonna order a bottle of Ace of Spades. Like, they were eating like normal human beings. You're just at a very expensive restaurant. And for there to be an entire table of people and your bill to be 1,500 and your man who invited everybody didn't pay, like, what are we doing here? Also, I'm sorry, if you want me to cash app you, you're gonna have to come a little bit better than that and provide me with a W-9 so I can 1099 your butt. Because you gonna get all the points on your credit card. Now you just put $1,500 on your credit card so you can get benefits from it, and now I have to cash app you and I get no benefit from that? Excuse me? What?
You're just mad about the points now.
Well, I'm mad about a lot of things.
It's the points for me.
What? Yes. That makes no sense. If you don't plan, if you don't plan to pay $1,500 for your girlfriend's birthday dinner, and you want to put it on your credit card and then ask me to cash app you, there's no benefits in cash apping you. Let me pay for the meal and have everybody else cash app me, because no one would be expecting for her random girlfriend to pick up the bill for her birthday when her man is sitting right there. Posturing.
It's the airline miles for me.
Am I wrong? I'm so sorry. Am I wrong?
Hilarious.
Those are double miles, okay?
Yeah.
That's a restaurant.
Yeah.
Double the points. Sometimes 2.5.
No, you just caught me off guard with the points.
So essentially, don't do the posture. Just take your girl out for a birthday dinner for two. For two.
No, I agree. If you're not like you're setting up that situation, if you're not planning on paying for it for everybody, then like you should have done for two and got drinks and like do something afterwards and been like, meet us here. We're gonna be at this place later. But yeah, nah, should have probably paid. Especially, wait, was this all on camera too?
No. Well, I'm assuming they didn't show it. So
Right.
it could potentially, we just haven't seen it. But it ended up being this whole conversation because it's like both of them are on reality television and there's something about the math just is not mathing.
I don't know much about him, but I know on her end, she portrays as if she has a lot of money. I just remember the Maserati and the house that never got finished. But
It is finished now.
okay.
Yeah.
So like she's got
It's
the money,
finished.
so it is kind of interesting to turn around and be like, yeah, but on that dinner though, you owe me $3.99.
That is crazy. That is
Like,
insane.
That seems like the down
For
your
y'all are
opinion in the car.
grown.
Yeah, that's
You needed to eat that. I would have considered that as a promotional cost, okay? That is promotional cost. Oh, I went out with Sheree's boyfriend, Martel. I know y'all got a lot to say about him, but he was so sweet and attended to her, called, made sure all her girls were there for her birthday dinner. I don't even know what happened because we just got up and left. I didn't even see him pay the bill, but I know he paid the bill because he took care of his woman and her friends. That he is something else. That's PR. Okay? That was $1,500 PR. $1,500 at Nobu. Two people could have a $1,500 bill at Nobu easily. Your friends weren't even taking advantage of the situation.
true.
And this is what you do?
That's true.
Lord. You're listening to Come Back with Erica Cobb, conversations with my sister Ebony, and we're just talking about, some things that have been ripped from the headlines. The next thing, now this is a lot more serious, so let's take a moment and breathe on this. So a lot of you have been following the story of Michael Oher. Michael Oher was the subject of the Disney movie The Blind Side, for which Sandra Bullock won an Oscar. Totally different subject matter, but we got to bring that up because this is crazy too. So essentially, Michael Oher has come out and said that he thought that he was adopted by the Tui family until February of this year when he learned that he wasn't adopted. He was in a conservatorship, and that this conservatorship led to the contracts and all of his imaging, licensing, all that stuff being taken care of by the Tui family, for whom were in charge of the conservatorship. And now it's opened up all of these different theories because Michael has written books before. He has another book coming out. People are citing a book that he wrote and had out in 2011 where he acknowledges that he was in a conservatorship. People are pulling records from the Tui family, who apparently were on Below Deck Mediterranean, and made a comment about how he was in charge of signing over everyone's image and likeness or whatever. There's been a lot of things coming out on both sides, but I think at the heart of it, it's so much deeper. So what were your original thoughts when you heard about this lawsuit?
I wasn't super surprised by it, to be honest. I don't know. I think of The Blind Side during that era where like there was just all these really weird Disney football come together, kumbaya like moments that just annoyed the heck out of me. Because I was young at the time, and every sports team felt the need to take you to the movie theater to go watch this, and I'm like, oh great, now we remember the Titans. Like, okay, uh, let's go into the real issues of these stories. But it just kind of felt like it was one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I could see how he probably could have been taken advantage of in this situation. I didn't love that movie because I didn't like how he was portrayed of being like this dumb kid with a family that doesn't care about him, because turns out none of that was true. Like he did have a family. It was just a tough situation he grew up in. It didn't mean that they didn't care about him or any of this other stuff. But obviously for the effects of theater and all that, they had to play it up that, he needed a savior essentially. So I've never loved this story. So when this came out, I was like, yeah, I was kind of waiting for that shoe to drop. But it's kind of tough because like we don't really know the exact details of what really happened. Did he get played to go to Ole Miss and like go to the alma mater and all that stuff? Was he pushed to go there? Was like what was going on? Did they find him and be like, hey, if we bring him in, he'll kind of essentially did kind of play a booster role? We don't know, and that's what kind of bothers me. Is just like it happens a lot in sports.
Mm,
I can name several athletes where this has happened to, where they are in tough situations growing up, and magically some coach brings them in, and then that coach ends up coaching them or ends up getting a job with that university, and that kid who's a big recruit magically signs with that school and all that stuff.
mm-hmm.
So I think it really plays to that bigger picture of like this happens a lot,
Yeah.
where kids essentially are being taken advantage of with the thought of like we'll take care of you, we'll bring you in, we'll make sure you're fed, you got everything you need, and we'll help you get your grades up so you can go to this good school. But also we're not looking at the part where it's like you get to this good school and now I now have your rights. So if you
Mm,
sign with an agent and all this stuff and you go on to the NFL, I kind of have these little backdoor deals going on.
yeah.
Or like, hey, we have, I'm a coach too and I'm a high school coach and now, you're doing really well in this sport. Well, now I'm going to talk to this head coach at this big school and say, yeah, he'll come if you can sign me on as assistant coach. And we can look at a lot of cases where this has happened
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and really see that like it's part of a bigger problem than just Michael Orr.
Oh, it's a huge problem. And I think I don't know, no one knows what's in anyone's heart. You don't know what's in the Chewy's family heart. You don't know what is in Michael Orr's heart. But what I do know for certain is I have a lot of questions about who is the checks and balances of situations like this, because the truth is the blind side co-signed white saviorism. It co-signed it in a way that made people feel not only entitled but gave people the idea of actually coming into children's lives in the 11th hour in order to be the last boost that they need in order to get into universities or go pro in a lot of different arenas, pun intended. And the reason why this is problematic, there's so many different reasons why. And people will say, like, well, what difference does it make if it's someone, like he might not have had the grades or he might not have had the support? I have no issues with not having the grades and not having the support. There are places out there that are designed for things like that to give people the opportunities. And yes, it is so much more difficult when you don't have a steady home or you're not coming from a home that has that type of support. Of course, I understand all of those things. We have worked in child welfare for years, so I am very much understanding of that. But that's the reason why I have an issue with this. If, let's say, I was a person of means and I am inviting a child into my home because I want to ensure that they have an opportunity to have a better life. There are a few things that I am certainly not going to do, and I know this for a fact, and also it's been modeled in our own home. If I am going to allocate a situation like that in my home, I am not going to do it on the basis of their academic or athletic skill. That is not going to be a requirement in my home. The other thing is, if this child is receiving anything, that could be social security, that could be athletic or academic scholarships, that could be whatever the NIL, whatever this child is receiving, because I do consider even young adults, it's still a child, especially when they haven't had the opportunity to have a stable home. I am never going to have money come into my account. The reason why is because I was the person who was the stability and I'm bringing this child in as if they are my own. Would I take money from my own child? I would not. And if you are a person of a certain means, then there'd be no enticement to do so. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. That is not altruistic. And they have benefited the Chewy family from all of this social currency as if they are altruistic people. They were in the Michael Oher business. They invested in that business. Did it make for a beautiful Disney movie? Yes, but was that the truth? Not so much, apparently. Not so much. Because the difference between a conservatorship and an adoption is vast, especially when we are talking about the estate of a family. Now you have your biological children who have rights to set estate. And I know where you can say, are going to say, I understand this because I've done my own estate planning. You can make anyone a part of your estate and you can exclude anyone as a part of your estate. But when you tell someone that they are adopted or they're in a conservatorship, which is the same as an adoption at 18 years old, when someone has given you a legal document made by an attorney and you don't have a separate attorney representing you, God only knows what this boy thought. And I'm calling him a boy because he was 18. He was a boy.
True. True. I got nothing to add. It's all true. I mean, it from every aspect, it seems as if they took advantage of the situation. Because let's be real, if he was just a kid that what's her name, Luann or whatever, Leanne saw the Taco Bell that she owns and saw them in the corner. She didn't take them home and decided to make them part of the family as well, since they couldn't scrounge up enough money to go to a basketball game, and she felt the need to take a picture and post it on social media.
She posted.
Yeah, it was. I remember this. It was like there was like two kids sitting at one of her restaurants, and they were like, it was two young black men that were like trying to figure out money situation, and she literally put on like Facebook or something, like she felt like they were sitting there plotting something, so she went and asked them what they were doing, and then they explained they were trying to get enough money to go to the game, and so she gave them money and felt the need to take a picture of them and explain the story, which just was like, okay, like why did you feel, first off, why did you feel like they were plotting? They were sitting in a restaurant minding their own business, you inserted yourself into the situation, but they were plotting. That's a very weird way to put it. But yeah, like why you can take them home and make them family too? Like why it just feels like there's a lot of like look at meanness going on.
Yeah.
That I just never liked in the first place.
So the look at meanness, I think that is that. I think that says so much. And when I think about it, every time we've talked about this story, or I hear the story, people are like, it's very much, oh, well, Michael said this in 2011. I'm like, okay, so that was 12 years ago. He was 25 years old. Maybe he didn't understand. Like, he clearly did not have his own separate legal representation. I'm very much a person, if I am given a legal document that is prepared by an attorney on your behalf, there is no way that I am signing that thing without having an attorney look at it on my behalf. But most people aren't going to know that or do that, especially if you're an 18-year-old just trying to like get into school and get your life started. Okay, so that's that. I look at it like we went to school at DePaul University. When I got to DePaul, that was very much getting towards the end of the heyday of DePaul men's basketball. So we had some very big names that when my freshman year, pretty much the whole time I was at DePaul, but a lot of the guys who played basketball at DePaul went to the league. They went to the NBA. And the amount of adults who were on the campus in dorms all the time at every game, standing outside like of alumni hall after games like groupies, waiting on these 18 to 22-year-old kids who were able to play ball, trying to figure out how they were going to benefit from these guys who were playing basketball in the event that they made it to the league, trying to do things for these boys in order to make them indebted to them so that when they made it, they would have to pay them back tenfold and be connected to them. It's no different. Chewies. The difference is none. You are an adult hedging your bets on a child who could potentially go on to make a lot of money and get a lot of social currency. You are no different than the dudes on the streets who are trying to give somebody a little bit of change, $100 here, $100 there, maybe thousands, maybe giving them a car to drive. No different, just wrapped differently, but no different.
It's true. That's so true. Dang.
So there's that. There is simply that. The other point of contention is people are calling for Sandra Bullock to return her Oscar.
Leave Sandy alone.
I mean, the woman just lost her life partner to ALS literally like 2 days ago. And y'all are coming for her, asking her thoughts?
Sandy ain't got nothing to do with this. I love Sandra Bullock, by the way. So leave Sandy alone.
I mean, people, let's talk about that. What is the barrier? How many days are we giving people? Because it was months that we were speculating that Jamie Foxx was an AI, that he wasn't even amongst us anymore. No one heard anything from Jamie Foxx. Everybody thoughts and prayers. Oh, we're not trying to be nosy. We're just trying to say that we care about him. The man pops up for less than 48 hours and y'all out here crucifying him as an anti-Semite. Based on a colloquialism that we have all heard 11 times, and not one time has anyone thought that they were referring to Jewish people. I will tell you right now, the thing that trended the most on Google, I swear, hand to God, I believe this with all of my might, is, did the Jews kill Jesus? Because people were not looking at what he said as a factually accurate statement. It is a colloquialism. If they kill Jesus, what do you think they'll do to you? It'd be no different than if they killed whoever else who's beyond reproach because they are the Lord and Savior or someone that you are looking up to and praying to, then how are you safe? That's all that meant. But it took about 48 hours for Jamie Foxx to give his "I'm alive and well, thank you for praying for me" before everybody went for him, calling him an anti-Semite. And I've talked to a lot of my Jewish friends, just like people tell me they talk to their black friends, okay? I wanted to truly understand what the situation was here. And I'm telling you, 48 hours and now you're attacking Jamie Foxx. 36 hours and you're attacking Sandra Bullock for a Oscar that she won over a decade ago? I'm sorry. So sorry. What?
I mean, for what it's worth, it's probably the least problematic of Oscars that have been won. I feel like if we're going to go down this route, there's a lot of Oscars that can be taken back, in my personal opinion. But yeah.
Heated. I don't get it. That's why nobody takes people seriously anymore. It really is. It's like nobody can take anybody seriously anymore because everything is something, even when it's nothing.
Yeah.
Another colloquialism.
Yeah. I mean, I don't take anybody seriously anymore. I mean, for what it's worth, I don't know. Everything's a joke to me now. I'm like, I don't know. Either I'm going to get yelled at for it or not. I don't know.
Atlanta.
Just going to sit here and be quiet, I guess. I don't know. Have an opinion. We said this before. Sky is blue. Oh, no, it's not. It's looking a little gray. Let's debate about it. Now you're a terrible person. And that's the road we live in.
Hey. Well, I just really wanted to kind of like put this out there because I feel like Michael Oher has been for years trying to get his side of the story out. Yeah. And so for people who keep saying that this was, it's so convenient because he has a book. This isn't Michael's first book. It's not the first time that he has spoken out against the Tuohys. It is not. So I don't think that there is anything super suspect about the fact that he has a book coming out and this has finally gotten some traction. I interview people for a living. I don't care what their inspirations are. I want something interesting that they haven't spoken to anyone else about or that mainstream media hasn't picked up on their own. I want the heart of their story. And this is the heart of his story. Perhaps the only story in all of this that matters. So, yes, I do want to hear what Michael Oher has to say. And I think that it's time that we revisit what the significance of The Blind Side is and what it truly meant.
I do not interview people as my occupation, but I just did not like The Blind Side as a movie. So, I mean, I've been very much interested in the story, but yeah, nah, I never trusted it.
Mm. Well, to be continued on the Michael Orr story, but we're sending Michael a lot of love. I would love to talk to Michael. I'll just put that out there because I would love to sit down and have a conversation about a lot of things when it comes to his story. And also if he feels that he has any responsibility in helping to ensure the safety or at least the advocacy of, young people who are coming up behind him who perhaps his story has been the template for their exploitation as well. And I think that is a fair question. I would love to hear the answer on that. So thank you for joining us on Come Back with Erica Cobb, Conversations with my sister, Ebony. What you got going on? You got anything you're looking
What do
forward
I
to?
have going on? That is a great question. What do I have going on? Just a little hiking, a little me time, a little painting. That's pretty much it. I got nothing
Yeah.
going on. This has been a very boring time in my life.
Hey, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm super boring too. I am sober as a judge. There is
Depends on the state.
Yeah.
Florida judge,
Sober
maybe
as
not.
a judge. I finally got this mushroom coffee, which I'm really excited to try. I'll give you more information on it if it's a good substitute for caffeine. Because I haven't even had caffeine.
That's sad.
No caffeine, no alcohol, no anything. I honestly, this next set of embryos are going to be like Virgin Mary quality, I swear.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
No.
I mean, I am damn near perfect. Okay. Anywho, all right. We're gonna get out of here. Ebony, thank you for coming by.
No words.
Peter Ortiz, thank you. Until next week. And next week it's going to be right before we head off to You Wanna Break My Soul. You wanna break my soul. You wanna break my soul. Okay.
I've been working out to Beyonce because I realized I don't know that many songs.
Okay. Maybe we should do
Passionately.
like a Beyonce theme for next week. Okay, we're gonna
Just
figure
me,
out.
myself, and I.
Yeah, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do for next week, but it's going to be the eve before Beyonce. So yeah, we'll have that for you. Also, check out the collab with Erica Cobb by Angel Aesthetics. We still have a few of the collaborations left. Skincare by Angel, as well as on my bio on all my social media at Erica Cobb. If you're on YouTube and you want to binge Come Back with Erica Cobb on podcast, there is a link in the bio. If you are on podcast, there is a link to the YouTube to see the visuals, because you could be a part of our little living room setup or whatever we're calling it. Comeback studio, lobby, whatever we're calling it. Again, thank you, Ebony, for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Yeah. And thank you to all of you for joining us. Until next week, bye-bye.